Okay guys, welcome back. Today I want to show you something really cool. Credits go out to Joshua Schmidt, who originally made this list. There's a video link to his original video in the description if you want to see his explanation and his gameplay. I have a very cool replay for you showing this new Fiendsmith control version, which I think is very nice. I played the very prominent version with the primate stuff before, but didn't really like it. I always find it kind of awkward with the primate. Primate Raw is such an awkward card. Then you normal summon with the primate Lordly Load, and then you can't activate any effects. It's so strange. Everything about it just doesn't work, in my opinion, right? So I saw this list from Josh, which basically plays a lot of Bystials. Makes sense. We have a lot of Fiendsmith. We still have a lot of Blue Eyes, but also plays this interesting package here, which I love. I have to say, this is an amazing package because he talked about the fact that you have not enough normal summons, and this is obviously true. Something we tried in the beginning was like triple Lacrima, the Crimson Tears, which is something you can definitely do also just to get a better chance of basically getting into your Fiendsmith stuff. But this thing might be even better because you go to it from the Underworld and then you special summon the Sangan from the deck. And Sangan, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add one monster with 1/5 or less attack from your deck to your hand, but you cannot activate effects or activated cards or the effects of cards with that name for the rest of this turn, which is something I found out the hard way. I added an Ash Blossom, wanted to negate like a big Welcome Labyrinth, but I couldn't because I have just added this. But what you can do right here, and you will see this in replay, you go Tour Guide, summon the Sangan, and you then use these two bodies here for the Moon of the Closed Heaven, which gives you or gets you into your Fiendsmith stuff. But the Sangan can then also search for MXC, for example. So you can, on your first turn, search for MXC. You could search for an effect. Vader could search for the Ghost Bell, could search for the Ash Blossom. You could also search for Ghost Mono, could search for the Lacrima. You can search for a lot of things with this. Could also search for Lurry if you wanted to. So very cool. You get to make your Fiendsmith stuff going via the Moon, and you also have another body then, the Moon body, so another Light Fiend in the graveyard, which is always nice. And you get a MXC, which obviously is super cool, especially because we have a lot of hand traps. We want to control the game and win through the grind game via Branded Regain, via all of our Bystials, via the Fiendsmith engine here. So what you are playing is obviously one favorite Lurry, triple Effect Vader, 2 MXC. We are playing the one Sangan, and then Tour Guide from the Underworld. We are playing triple Ash Blossom, then 2 Ghost Bell and 1 Ghost Mourner. The logic behind this, according to Josh, is that we are drawing a lot of cards via something like the Branded Regain or via the Necro Crypt by discarding something, and he just wanted to draw like not multiple offs cards like the Ghost Bell or the Ash Blossom because you can't activate them twice, and then have something like the Mourner instead, which I think is nice. We have the Lacrima, then we have a big Bystial package, the Magnamut, triple Duosworm, triple Baldrake, we have 2 Engraver, we have triple Bystial Lobelion, 3 Nibiru's, that's always nice to draw into them. 1 Talents, I definitely like this because you don't want to have a lot of talents in your hands. A lot of people are dropping the Fuvolos before and stuff like this, so it's a bit annoying. We have 2 Fiendsmith Tracked. I think originally there were 3 Fiendsmith Tracked in here, and this is a 41 card list in Josh's case, but I don't have 3, so I'm at 2. 2 Branded Regained, just for the grind game. Sometimes you destroy them by using, I don't know, the Fiendsmith in Paradise, or sometimes this gets destroyed by your opponent, and then you have another one, which definitely came up. You can also, by the way, not activate this Shuffle Back and Draw effect more than once per turn, but this effect, each Branded Regain can activate once. So once per turn, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can target a Bystial, special summon it, and you can only activate this effect of Branded Regain once per chain, which is very nice. So you can definitely use this more often when you have 2 Branded Regained, and then obviously Fiendsmith in Paradise. In the extra deck, we have the Lacrima, the Necro Crypt, the Desiree, a Chaos Angel that you can make with any level 4 body, and then a Bystial, obviously. We have Consular Ptolemy M7, which you can make with 2 Bystials, or also with Fiendsmith Engraver. This is nice because what you can do sometimes is just make this guy and then detach like a Bystial Magnamut from it, and then re-add the Bystial Magnamut to your hand. It's definitely nice. We have a Caesar, which I'm always a bit annoyed with Caesar because an Imperm just stops this card, but it's whatever. The Zeus, which never came up for me, the Star Slayer, which is definitely nice. We have an Almirage, which is actually big because if you, for example, open a Sangan or your Tour Guide gets interrupted, what you can do then is go into your Almirage, and those are like dark bodies, and then if you have a Bystial, you can banish them from the graveyard, and then you have 2 bodies, the Almirage and whatever Bystial, to go into the Moon of the Closed Heaven, which is very nice. This definitely came up. I would recommend 2 Fiendsmith Requiem. I think Josh plays 2 Fiendsmith Desiree, which I can also fathom because sometimes you have the Desiree on the field and in Paradise in the graveyard, which means you can't use the in Paradise, which is a bit sad. But yeah, you can definitely also play 2 Desiree. I don't have to, I didn't want to craft another one. We have 1 SP, 1 Moon of the Closed Heaven, 1 Sequence, and 1 Fiendsmith's Arcanum Day. So now let me hop on over into the replay and show you what this control deck can do. Alright, we are here in a very cool game against Branded Despia. This was a very grindy game, but shows what this deck can achieve, why this deck is so good in being a control deck. We are going a second here. And our opponent is going to start with the Aluba. I didn't decide to drop this in the draw phase, but I just wanted to react to something else. There comes the Branded Fusion, which I can't stop. Obviously, he goes Branded Lost, which is nice for him, Branded Fusion, and I chain Maxi, which fortunately for me goes through in this case. It's obviously always something you want to see. I have a Bystial, I have an Ibido, I feel kind of good. He goes into an Albion, so he is about to basically play around my Maxi. He activates his Branded Lost to add to the hand. The Albion here, which I was surprised. I thought he would add the bird, the negation bird. And then he activates the Albion to send, I think, another Fallen. Yeah, another Fallen, and then draws a card, and then sets one end phase. And we are going to draw here. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I have 2 Bystials, and there are 2 Fallen of Albases in the graveyard that can be resummoned with this Albion here. So I basically can counter the Albion, and I will get another Bystial in a second here. So this is where I start with Bystial Obelion to grab the Magnamoot. At this point I need to use one of my Bystials because otherwise I don't have any plays. So I go Baldrick because I figure Baldrick is the least useless one. So let's for example say he activates his Albion now, targets this Fallen of Albas that I have just targeted. And then I can like use my Drusworm or my Magnamoot because I value these more in this specific situation than the Baldrick. So if any of these Bystials does not get through, I want it to be the Baldrick. So he doesn't chain it, so I can remove a Fallen of Albas here. That's kind of nice, I guess. And then I just go for the Bystial Obelion. I could have gone for the Drusworm, but no targets here. This is normal summon. This can be targeted, which it will be so hard to get rid of this, as you will see. We are going to set the Branded Regained, which is obviously super good, and then I have to continue my plays. I just want to force this out, but he refuses to use this, so I go Bystial Drusworm on the other Fallen of Albas, and he counters with a Saronir, which at this point, I think I let this go through, because I figure if I activate my Magnamoot now, he can just chain the Albion, and then, yeah, he wins basically this little exchange. So I let him do his Saronir here, and I think about shuffling this back because obviously having the Fallen of Albas is banished is very nice. If the last one gets banished and he can't go into a Lubelion, then the game is basically over because he can't fusion summon into anything significant. But I decide to use my Branded Regain to draw a card here because I'm like, okay, maybe I get into the Fiendsmith stuff somehow. So use my Branded Regained firstly for reviving my Baldrick, but then also to draw a card. I think I draw into Fiendsmith and another Baldrick. Okay, and then I go into the Moon of the Closed Heaven here. Obviously, just go Fiendsmith Liner, activate this effect of the Moon. Maybe I thought he would Imperm. Obviously, he does not. He's not that stupid. I go into Lacrima, send the Engraver here, and then I use the Engraver. And at this point, and this is quite clever, I think he uses the Albion to special summon my Engraver to his field. I'm like, okay, this is really clever. At this point, I use my Magnamoot because I want to get the Magnamoot down. My plan is to use Magnamoot to attack over my own Engraver in battle phase, so I have it back in my grave. This is the idea, or is this something I do in the next turn? I think I do it here, getting rid of the Blazing Cartesia, and I also want my Magnamoot's effect life here, so I will just, we will summon the Engraver to his field, and then the Maxi to my field. At this point I'm going Magnamoot effect here, battle phase to get over the Engraver, but he goes Forbidden Droplet, sends away the Aluba to keep my Engraver on his field. I crash here, and at this point I can't do anything more besides making an SP here, which I can't even banish, which is a bit unfortunate, but this will probably force him into the battle phase first thing next turn, so this is something I definitely like. I still have Nip, I still have an effect better, and 2 Bystials, and the Magnamoot will also be able to add something, and I have my Regained. So I'm adding another Bystial Obelion, obviously, because there are no more Bystials. I don't have a Saronir to add. We go main phase, he goes attack, and at this point, for some reason, this was a mistake. I think I shouldn't have done this here. I use the Requiem into the Lacrima now. I should have done this afterwards. This allows me to take a bit less damage, but he can get rid of 2 bodies here, which I think I should have taken the damage, honestly. Wouldn't have really mattered, but it is what it is. I have the Fiendsmith Paradise set up, which is definitely not the greatest interruption against Despia here. Main phase 2, and he goes Fusion Deployment. I don't interrupt this here. He goes into Cartesia. The new Cartesia, very cool. And then I can use my Primate Regain, get my Magnamut back, activate Magnamut's effect, super nice. And at this point, I'm like, okay, look at his graveyard. There's the Branded Fusion. Here's the Saronir. Saronir dumps the Branded Regained, no, the trap that can Retribution, the trap that can basically add this thing back to the hand. So I figure he wants to go Cartesia, fuse the Saronir away to send and get back his Branded Fusion. This is why I use my Effect Veiler on the Cartesia. I figure this is the only way that he has to make a Fusion Summon happen. So yeah, we are Veilering that here. And we are obviously in for the long run. End phase, he sets another card. I use my Druisworm in the end phase on my SP Little Knight to get it back to the extra deck and draw one. I also did this because I didn't want him to use his Albion on my SP Little Knight so that he can get my SP Little Knight on his field. This is something I wanted to avoid, which is why I used the Druisworm here. I also wanted the draw and a draw into my tour guide. I also use my Baldrake because I figure, okay, next turn the Magnamut effect will get me another Baldrake, so I wanted this body on the field. This is why I did this, getting another Baldrake, because otherwise the two Baldrakes would have been stuck in my hand next turn, so it doesn't really make sense. At this point, I am going for the Bystial Lubelion here. I want to get the second Branded Regained Life, also use my Druisworm, get my Engraver back into the graveyard. I thought, okay, I will not send this to the graveyard for him, and I don't need to target this because this can Fusion Summon, and this I can't target. So he goes for Fusion Summon, I can't do anything against this. Goes for Grungignol, this is fine, and then he can go Grungignol 1 and Bystial Saronir 2, which gets him to the Branded Fusion. I can't stop this. He can also go Branded Lost here, and then he also goes, once again, summon my Engraver to his side. But this time around I have a lot of bodies that can attack, so the Forbidden Droplet tactic won't work again here against me. So yeah, we are going for this, and then he adds the bird. This time around I switch to attack position and attack, I think. Here, there comes the Retribution, makes sense, and he sends Titanic Clad, which is something I definitely want to get rid of before end phase. Here I use my Fiendsmith in Paradise. I think I remove the Engraver, I'm not quite sure, and I also use my Regained. Maybe should not have used the in Paradise here, I'm not quite sure why I did this honestly, but I think I remove Engraver. Oh no, I removed the Branded Lost because the Desiree can also remove spells and traps. This is actually nice, and I'm figuring, okay, he will stop this with the bird because this gives him a lot of advantage through the turn. It's basically like my Branded Regained, but he doesn't, and I can get rid of it, which is very nice. I set up my second Branded Regained, go into a Moon because I want some space on my field also, and then go into the Fiendsmith part here because I don't need this in my graveyard because I can get another Engraver. He goes bird. At this point I was like, okay, I was expecting the bird here. It's fine because I will get my Engraver back into the graveyard in a second. So I go normal summon, summon the Sangan here, and then he goes Grungignol into, I think, yeah, the Despian Lulu Walilith. I shuffle this back to draw another card. Ash Blossom, very, very good. I crash here, and then I trade into this Despian Lulu Lilith to get rid of this main phase 2. I go Bystial Baldrake, remove the Titanic at first, and then I go into the Ptolemy, which this is super nice because now I can get my Magnamut back. So detach the Baldrake, get my Magnamut back here, and then I'm also deciding to, in a second here, remove the other card from the graveyard. But firstly, the Engraver here. Once again, I can target this, so I can't get rid of this. I go for a sequence just to make like the Fiendsmith Desiree, and then grab a Maxi here. This is what I'm talking about. This is so strong. I think he has a Forbidden Droplet here to stop this. I get rid of his last hand card, which is great for me, obviously. Because now I can clear the entire field and have an Ash Blossom for any Branded Fusion, because Branded Fusion is already live in the graveyard here. So I go Bystial Magnamut on the Despian Lulu Lilith because this also has an end phase graveyard effect. Activate Magnamut, go for SP Little Knight here. And then I remove his, I think, Cartesia, because removing Branded Fusion doesn't work, because you can just chain Retribution. And then I go for Star Slayer just to finally remove this Albion here. And obviously at this point I have grinded out such a big advantage that this game is just over. He goes Branded Retribution, the rest is not that interesting. Grabs the Branded Fusion, I have an Ash Blossom for this. So yeah, I discard an Nibiru, I have too many hand cards. And then he obviously goes for Branded Fusion, I ash this. And I think he continues to play for like a second tier end phase, but yeah, obviously this is over. I attack him and win the game. So this is the new Bystial Fiendsmith control with the Sangan Underworld Tour Guide package. Let me know in the comments what you think of this deck. I had much fun playing it. And I also was climbing with this very, very fast. I'm currently close to Master 1, and I'm not quite sure, but I have a very impressive win rate with this deck. I can't track anymore because I'm not using Untapped anymore. We can quickly check this out though, and clicking here on Duel, and there you can see that we are close to Master 1, and you can also see that this deck, I'm currently in a 4-game win streak, and you can see right here that I have not really lost a lot of games with this deck. Here I had a 5 or 6 game win streak, and then yeah, I lost a bit here, but very successful with this deck, very strong, it feels extremely good, and this 2-hour guide from the Underworld Sangan package feels amazing. Let me know in the comments what you think and what you are playing right now. Thanks for being here, we will see each other in the next one.